broke her Cinderella thing again.
Oh, all right, Ashley will deal with it when she gets home. How'd she manage that?
Trying to get her tablet. It's in a bad spot.
It's in Ashley's room.
Well, I mean, I agree.
We'll deal with it as we can.
I picked up all the pieces and put them on her desk. What?
I gotta get her some better glue.
I was gonna say if I was good with glue, I'd glue it for her, but
yeah, that's all right.
I don't know. Love you.
Love you too. Have a good day, sweetie. Hello, anybody out there? Hi. Take your time coming on. I'm just kind of rearranging things here. I think I still have a mess from last night when I was trying to cut everything out.
What did you do?
May, take it in the other room, honey. Hello, hello. Welcome, everybody. Let's see.
What did you do?
Hello, Miss Janice. Welcome, welcome. I am still looking for my page. So hang on, let me get in here. Ooh, there was a sign there from Martelli. I wonder what that was about. I'll have to go back and look later. Hopefully it'll still be there. Oh, there we are. Yay. Okay. All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome. I see I have at least 3 people, and I swiped my comments aside so I can see what's going on. It looks awfully dark in there. I don't know if it's just because if it's me or what's going on. Okay. So hopefully everybody had an opportunity to look over the video or get their templates. And just remember, I'm probably gonna say it again and again. When you pull up your templates, at the bottom of the template, there should be a 1-inch mark. Make sure that when you're printing, if you have to, go back and blow it up again and make that mark on the page 1 inch. If you make it 1 inch, then it should match up with the templates that we need for the wall. Most of them are pretty straightforward, like the template width is actually 2.5 inches. Some of the others are like 4.5 inches. So it's, that way it's working out great. So just make sure that you're matching up that line on the paper as 1 inch. So if you blow it up or shrink it, that's what you're looking for. You want to make that line 1 inch long. It is a 1 inch mark, okay? I've seen them use them with other things for printing, patterns, knitting, crocheting. So pretty much it's basically the same thing. Hey, Miss Posey. Every time I see Rosemary, that's what I want to, I forget it's Miss Posey. Hey, Miss Posey, how are you? I'm glad to hear you're feeling better. Let's see, who else do we have? Miss Janice says, hey. Once again, I've got my, today's going to be one of those days, I can tell, my Gmail and, of course, my YouTube channel. So please make sure you're subscribing so that when something new pops up, you'll have the opportunity to see that it's there and you can go ahead and watch it. Last night I posted, hopefully I did it without having to edit it, so I was able to get it right on, and hopefully it looks okay. But that was the cutting instructions for the green one, which is called the 9-patch star. And that's what we're working on today, is the 9-patch star. My sweetie Taylor, come here, Taylor. Come say hello. My sweetie Taylor is here. She came to greet me when I came back from running my errands today. This is my sweet, lovely daughter, Taylor, and she's the one expecting my next grandbaby. Thank goodness I'm finally getting another one. I can't wait. Anyway, so that's Taylor. That is not Nicole, okay? No, that is not Nicole. Nicole is still in Morocco. And Taylor was such a sweetie to come over. I promised her a couple masks, and I haven't gotten them finished yet, so hopefully she will be patient just one more day. Love you too. One more day, and then I will have those ready for her. Okay, and Miss Kathy's on. Hey, Miss Kathy, welcome, welcome. And Miss Susan had some tech drama here today, so I'm behind on cutting. Yeah, don't feel bad. Phew. I was having a few issues last night myself. And in fact, if you keep seeing my cutting instructions, and I want to apologize, guys. My EQ8 prints it out and it tells me how many patches I'm supposed to have. But because of the way they do it, sometimes they double things that don't need to be doubled, and they triple things that don't need to be tripled, or they should have tripled it. So sometimes when I go back, I'm like, wait a minute, no, that's not right. And so I have to amend it. So pretty much every single day that I have posted your cutting instructions, there's been an amendment to it. So I don't even know. I tried to tag everybody to let you know that there was an amendment to it. but I'm doing my best I can with this. I love the program. It's great software. Sometimes I wonder if there isn't an easier way to do this. Maybe my graph paper is probably the better way to go. I don't know. I love EQ8 though. I've enjoyed pulling up some of the blocks and looking and, you know, modifying and doing what I need to do to it. So I do love it, but it has its issues, just like graph paper, because graph paper can't figure out the fabric requirements. Okay. I don't want to stay too far behind on this because this block is a little more complicated than the last two we did. I've seen some of the postings for the blocks. You guys are doing a great job. I love them, even with a couple of glitches that some people had with the templates. Your blocks are still looking great. Keep it going. You're doing wonderful. And this does not have to be perfect, okay? I just want you to know that. This does not have to be perfect. I mean, if we look back at our quilting life or our quilting beginnings or however, you know, you want to look at this, you remember that it was never perfect. But we loved every single one of them, and the people that we gave these quilts to loved them as well. So just remember, it doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to be, okay? So give it your best shot, and it's going to work, okay? Ooh, I'm looking at my tablet. My tablet has some pretty awful looking pixelation on it. I hope it's just my tablet and not my phone, because it was fine a second ago. Okay. All right, well, let's go ahead and move on. If there is a problem, please let me know that yours is glitching as well. But right now, my tablet has really pixelated on me. Okay, let's see. You know, my light is turned a little bit funny. Let me see if I can get my light turned a little more. All right, let's see if that looks a little bit better. Ugh, still really pixelated. Okay, hopefully it'll work itself out. Oh, that looks so much better. Good, good, good. Okay, all right. I think we're back to normal again. I don't know, I think that must have just been, well, let's see, am I gonna come back on? There I am, okay, all right. Sorry about that. If that tells you anything, I have like this huge gap, this huge lag on mine. So when mine pops up, it looks awful. I have to wait a long time. All right, so I'm going to move this out of the way. Hopefully you got everything you need off of it for right now. I'm going to get that out of the way. Now, last night we did all the pre-cutting for this block. So here's what I have. And let's turn this way because it's right on next to my poor quilt over there. Okay. So... oh, this was something else last night, I tell you. All right. So this is what we're working on. The first one we're going to work on is we're going to work on that center square. Of course, the outsides are easy. These are just 4.5 inch squares. We need 4 of them because we have 4 blocks. So 4 times 4 is 16. So you need 16 white blocks or whatever your accent or background fabric is, okay? The next thing we're going to need is the... let's see if I have an extra one. I should have an extra one here. Okay, I don't see it. I know I have an extra green one around here somewhere. I may have cut it without thinking. All right, so green ones. You should have one of these in green. Well, actually, you're going to have several that are like this. So when you cut them apart and then you cut the dog ears off, according to the template, you should be able to get 2 off of 1 rectangle, okay? So originally the pattern called for 4 or 8. Anyways, it called for more than we needed, so I was able to kind of narrow it down a little bit. So you should wind up with 4 for each block. So 4 going this way, 4 going this way, 4 white, 4 white. So 8 for each, okay? So I have mine set out, and this is 1 block, this is 1 block, this is 1 block, this is 1 block. Now, this one, you have 2, 1 white, 1 green, You can put them, and you really only need 2 of these for all 4 blocks. So 2 greens and 2 whites. Let me see, my son's phone died. Internet went down in the middle of his online class. Ugh, new phone, bought, and internet fix. Whew. Yeah, that is a lot, Miss Susan. I'm with you on that. Okay, so let me turn you just a little bit. I'm gonna turn you down. So we're gonna cut my head off. Okay, so here's what we have. Man, the light is terrible in here. Ugh. I hope it's not my phone. Did I turn it? Yeah, it's turned on. I should be plugged in. Okay. All right. So we're going to do it right sides together. Glad I checked, although I'm not sure that it really matters, especially not on the white. We're going to put these together. Now here's what I do. All right. And everybody's a little bit different because I've done it pretty much just about every way that they make. Let me see. Do I have my... Yeah, I can never find that thing. I have one of the ones that marks it for a half square triangle, but it's since missing, so I'm not going to worry about it. Okay, so here's what I do, and this works for me. Because of the foot that I have on my machine, it has that metal barrier, metal bar on the edge to show me 1/4 of an inch. Love my foot, but it also helps me to do these half square triangles. So as long as I have this layered right, let me just make sure my corners are as matched up as I can get them. And again, you want to try and have this as straight as you can. Doesn't mean it's always going to be straight, because it seems like it's always off. If it's not on one place, it's off another place. Yeah, Susan, I was having a big trouble with my printer the other day on my EQ8 program. All of a sudden it decided it didn't want to print anything from my EQ8. And that's my design program. So darn it, it has to work. So I spent almost a whole day doing nothing but playing around with it, trying to figure out why it wouldn't work. Okay, so I drew my line down the center, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the bar, the edge on my foot, to run it right down the centerpiece. Okay, so let me bring you over here so you can watch what I do. And I'm going to get a little bit closer. Gosh, you can't hardly see my little foot over here. But right here on the side, I have a bar, okay? And I'm going to take it, and I'm going to use my bar and run it right over that line. So that should be 1/4 of an inch. I don't know, it's pretty hard to see, isn't it? Okay. So there's my bar, there's my line. My bar's right here. And as soon as I'm done with this one, I'll go ahead and show you what it looks like. Now I'm going to turn it around, put this one right here, and do the same thing. Using the line right here on there, and then I'm hoping to eventually have a camera that'll point right down on my sewing machine, but right now I don't, so we kind of have to make do with what I have available, which is next to nothing in my opinion. Okay, so come on back over here. Okay, so here's what I did. There's my line that I drew, and I used that foot, the edge of that foot. Let me take it off. Okay, so there's my little edge piece, as you can see. That's my barrier to keep me within my 1/4 of an inch from my needle to the edge, okay? And then I used that, and I ran it right down that line to show me 1/4 of an inch. So I did 1/4 of an inch down one side, flipped it over, and then did 1/4 of an inch down the other side, okay? And that's how I did that one. All right, let me put this back so I don't lose it, because I think it's the only one I have right now. Okay, now here's what we're gonna do next. You can take a ruler, you can just run your rotary cutter down it. It doesn't really matter, because it doesn't matter if you have 1/4 of an inch on this. It's okay. All right, so I'm going to run it down there, cut it in half. And there we go. gonna remember to iron this to the dark side. So I'm gonna put dark side up, which in your brain, I don't know about y'all, but in your brain is not saying, is saying that's not right. That's not right. It should be dark side down, and it's not. It's only because you're trying to wrap, your brain's trying to wrap around the fact that you're fixing to do it backwards of how it thinks it needs to be done. Okay. Now my square is still slightly larger than 4.5 inches because that's what we're going to end up with is 4.5 inches. Now you're thinking, okay, well now I have a square. What's next? All right, well, let me show you. Now we're going to take it and we're going to one more time cut it from here to here, creating one more half. And this is why you only need 2 of these per block, because this will create 2 center pieces. Okay? Okay. So if you take this one, put it with this one, and this one, and put it with this one, now you have 2 of the center blocks. Okay? Now they're still, like I said, they're still slightly larger than 4.5. So if you line these up, and again, take your time, make sure you get it where you want it. For me, I have to have a pin for this part. I can't wing this. If I do, I wind up making a mistake. Okay. All right. And of course, I try to make sure it's up to the edge if I can. Okay. Check one more time just to make sure it didn't move since I was moving it around. And if you take your time, this helps to make those points really come out. Okay, so, and I do apologize, I did rush my hair. I got in from running errands and still wanted to get a shower and wash my hair, and so my hair is still wet. Yikes. So I threw it up in a little barrette, and hopefully it's not offending to anybody. Alrighty, so we're going to go ahead and stitch our 1/4 inch. On both of them. And I like to recheck it just to make sure I'm not doing something weird. Sometimes I get going and I look back and I'm like, oh, that bottom piece slid just a little bit. Tuck that in there. And I can see the white on the other side. Looks good. Pull my pen. Okay. Trim, trim, trim. And then you're going to want to go back and trim off all the extra thread. Now here is where I would go ahead and use my pressing bar if I can find it. I was just staring at it. Yep, there it is. Found it. Okay, don't forget I do have these for sale in my Etsy shop. And you would find it under SRQ Quilter. Or SRQ Quilter, sorry. In my Etsy shop, I still have, apparently I have about 8 of them left. And they're very, very cute. Very, very decorative. I love them. Just sold another one today. Got to get it shipped out. And it was really cute. It had sewing machines on it. Miss Janice does such a beautiful job on the patterns. I love them. I wish I could keep all of them. All right. Okay. And now we have 2 center pieces for our stars. And if you measure them, they should measure right at 4.5 inches. Ta-da! Looks great. It works. So we're just going to trim off these dog ears. I don't know if you can hear May's having a conversation in the background with her mom. And she's like, why did you answer? I was calling someone else. Talk about a misdial. She dialed Morocco. Okay. All right. We're all done with that. So we now have, or I already did my other two last night because I just want to make sure I remembered how to do that. So I now have 4. Now I have the basis, the very center parts for the blocks. I also have all 4 sets so these all go with those as well. So I can just set those off to the side. For that part, we are all ready. I'm going to kind of turn those in a corner just so I know that I still have these stacked up and ready to go. All right, now let's get started on, to me, what was probably the hardest part. We're going to do one without doing all of them so that we can kind of get an idea. In fact, I wanted to put one of these together last night and it just got to be too late. Sometimes I feel like I have so much going on. Okay, so if you look, I'll turn these. Well, it doesn't really matter because either way it's going to be right side up or upside down. So you're going to take and you're going to put one white with one green. Okay, just like that. And it's actually going to go like this. And this is what the block is going to be shaped like. So the first one I'll do is I'm going to put the two one whole side together. So when we're done with this, this should be 2.5 inches wide. Now, again, we did the dog ears because that's where you're going to start and that's where you're going to stop. And I don't have my glasses on. Let me fix that. Let me make sure I didn't miss some comments. Okay. Okay, I'm going to pin these just so they don't slip. And I'm going to sew the very first one because I want to make sure that I don't have to do a scant 1/4 of an inch. Or even on one of them, I actually had to do 1/8 of an inch on a stitch, but I think it was because I didn't do a very good job of cutting it. So let's see what happens. And as usual, that fabric got caught underneath my plate. It got away from me. Okay. Now that is an actual true 1/4 of an inch, or at least I'm going to measure it to make sure, but that's what, because it went from one point of the dog ear to the other point, which is good. That's what we're looking for. And again, when I say dog ear, I'm actually just referring to where the dog ear would be if we had left it on. Okay. So come on over here. Let's take a look at this real quick. So this is what it looks like as we're sewing it. Kind of interesting looking. I know sometimes your brain's looking at it going, oh, I don't have this right. That's all right. We're doing good. And then when you open it up, it should turn into a rectangle. Okay. So let's just do a quick measurement. I'm going to actually iron it first. And I am going to, you know, I think I'm just going to go ahead and iron it open just because I don't remember how much bulk this one has, but I got a feeling it has a lot. So let's go ahead and iron it open. Okay. Okay. So that's what it looks like when it's ironed. And if we iron it open, then we've at least already, you know, mitigated some of the bulk there. Now let's take a quick measurement and see how we did as far as 2.5. Oh yes, yeah, 2.5, right on. Let me see if I can lift it up and show you. There we go. So there's our 2.5. So now we have a 2.5 across, and we have 4.5 down. Perfect. Perfect. So now it should work out fine. So as long as you follow the template, you should be good. Now we're going to go ahead and power do every single one of them. Power chain, extreme chaining, whatever you want to call it. Okay. So let's come over here. And what I would do is I would leave them in their stacks just like this, so that you know exactly which two go together. Because if you accidentally put like a back to a front, or you know, then you're going to have them off and you're going to have to rip it out and do it all over again. And these should be the right side. Yeah, it looks like it. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. There are only 2 here. I think it's a good thing I have a couple extras over here, because I don't know where the other one went. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. That one with that one. I must have put 1 or 2 together last night. I didn't think so. Okay. That's all right. We'll make do. Okay, I need a tissue. And a drink. All right. All better. 3. Okay. Now let's go ahead and do the rest of them. Can't really grab a hold of them. And again, don't get in a hurry. Take your time. Hey, Miss Sheila, welcome, welcome. I'll get you caught up here real quick. We were talking about having them ready. I have we did half square triangles. One square similar to this, only 5 and like 3/8 or whatever it was. 1 square will get you 2 of these, okay? And you can of course watch from the beginning if you like, just to see that. That's the only thing we actually cut right today, is that. And then I stacked up one of these with the 4 corners, and I have those 4 all sitting off to the side, waiting for us to finish up this. Okay, so we did our first one, and I know I spoke with you earlier about the 1/4 inch. It is actually a 1/4 inch, because now we have a block that, you know, part of a block that goes from 2.5 inches across to 4.5 inches down, and it's right on the money. Perfect. So right now we are up to lining up our fabric together. Did everything go okay with your appointment this afternoon? Okay. So I've got them laid out so I know exactly which 2 to put together. Because trust me, it can get a little bit hairy at times, especially if you got other things going on in your life, like internet that's going down or pixelation that's happening. Actually, our mine pixelated really bad when we first got on. It's fine now, but man, it was something else earlier. Okay. And for anybody who is interested, just as an FYI, I spoke to Nicole again last night. She will be coming home soon. She doesn't have her plane ticket yet, but she said she's actually seen there are a few that are available out there, and as soon as she can get that straightened out and get the ticket bought, she will be on her way home. So we're all very happy to hear that. So hopefully the world is going to be getting back to normal again soon. All right, there's that. Then I'm going to go ahead and put these 4 together. Now would be a good time to go ahead and do all of them. But if it's easier for you to do 1 block at a time, do 1 block at a time. He's here now putting up my fan. Might have to log off. I'll watch from the beginning later. Absolutely. Absolutely, Miss Sheila. We'll be here for you. All right. And so hopefully the way I have it stacked is the right sides should be up. So I know I can fold them together, and they should be right sides folded together. And again, I'm just taking my time because I want to make sure we're doing it right. Although I feel like I could move this down just a little bit. And when I'm trying to be so specific is I'm just trying to make sure that this point up here, right here, matches up with this point right here. Let me show you with my stiletto. So this point right here matches up with this point down here. And then I don't have, you know, a little bit over here, a little bit over there, because believe it or not, it can make a huge one. So what is the measurement of the original blocks for the half square triangle? The original blocks for the half square triangles are, hang on, 5 3/16 square. So it's 5 3/16. Now, as you can see, you know, that's kind of an odd number. So just be careful when, you know, you're measuring across your board. But it does work out perfect. That was a perfect 4.5 inch when it was done. So it does matter, but if you have to make it a little bit larger, so because maybe you're just not comfortable trying to do a 1/16 or a 3/16, then just be prepared to cut it down. But don't cut from one side. You'll have to cut from all 4 sides to make it even, because otherwise you could wind up making your center off. All right. When I pinned it, it moved over. Now remember, when we're doing the beginner stuff, the stuff where it's just, you know, your easy stuff, and I call it easy stuff because it's like you cut it from your jelly roll or your layer cake or whatever you're working from, and basically once you cut it, you can just stitch it right on. This is not one of those. This is one where you have to cut, subcut, and in some cases subcut again. So it's not a beginner, but it will definitely help you grow as a quilter, especially if you know there's still things you're trying to learn. And you know, I hope that we never get to a point where we feel like we're not learning, because once you stop learning, I mean, what else is there? What else do you have in life to accomplish? You know, I love taking classes and courses and learning from other people or listening to, you know, some of the tips and tidbits that other people have, because it's so important to have that, to be able to grow my experience and experiences. Okay. Slide it down just a little bit more, and yes, I am definitely taking my time. Because the first one I did, it's not that I rushed through it before, but I really think my cut must have been off, because man, I had to do an 1/8 of an inch seam just to make them work out. So take your time and don't rush through these things. Just when I think I get it right where I want it, it moves. Okay. Keep on moving. I know we're always striving for perfection, and that's great, and we need to, you know, but don't get so hung up on trying to make it perfect. You know, get it close. Again, it's not about how perfect it is, it's how perfectly loved it's going to be. The perfect hug it's going to give. And that's my thing. I feel like quilts are the perfect hug, especially when you can't be there. You can give a perfect hug to somebody by giving them a quilt. Whether it's perfect or not doesn't matter. Your hands created it, your hands made it, and they're going to love it. Okay. Let's go ahead and finish up this one. Maybe we'll have an opportunity to put this one together, and then we'll go back and we'll work on the others. Or you guys can go ahead and keep pinning all the others. I'm going to go ahead and put this one together. And again, once you have them all together, you can just go ahead and chain piece, Uber chain, extreme chaining, whatever you want to call it. And sometimes having a stiletto handy to help you feed it in, because every time I lift up a finger, it manages to go wonky on me. So let's see. Okay. And this is one of my cute ones that Miss Janice makes. I don't actually have those listed on my Etsy, but I was planning on selling them for $5 for her. Still managed to get my finger in the way. Okay. You know, about halfway through the middle of the day, it gets really warm in here. Even though I crank down the air conditioner. I guess it's just because of where the room is located. Well, hey, Miss Beelan, how are you? Welcome back. Miss Beelan from Argentina, right? Ah, suck that thing right in there. All right, I'm going to fix that because that little point is actually important. So I'm going to try and save my point on this. Every once in a while, it just sucks it right into my throat. Sewing machine throat, not my literal throat. Man, I'm gonna tell you what, that's some thick, easy, heavy duty thread on there. Even though I really don't think it is. Trying to do it without cutting the fabric too. Ah, there we go. All right, I think I'll go from the other end. Sometimes this is where it's better to start closer down from the edge. Oh, man, that did not sound good at all. Okay. You know what? It's always that last one, right? Okay. Let's come on over here. Looks like 5 3/16 Susan. Yes, 5 3/16. Well, hey, Miss Roberta, welcome back. You know, Miss Roberta, I hope you're enjoying this. I don't want this to stress you out. I know a lot of this is really new to you, but I have seen what you've done, and it's amazing. And I know you can handle this. But take your time. This we don't have to power run through any of this, okay? All right. Hey, Miss Sue, welcome. I know you don't get to get on very often, so it's so good to see you here. All right, so let's go ahead and iron these open, and then I'm going to put the one square together for us, okay? And like I said, it just seems like this time it's easier. Cut mine wrong, but luckily I didn't know the right triangle, so it should be a good. Okay, perfect, okay. But let me know if you need just a little more fabric, Miss Susan. I will be happy to drop some off to you. But yeah, I know it called for like 8 of them, and we didn't need 8. We only actually needed 2 to do all 4 of the blocks. And this is where I run into a problem with the with that program. Is like I said, I love it, but just every once in a while, either I just don't understand what it's trying to tell me, or it's trying to count 1 for each block, even though you only need 1 for 2 blocks. Okay. Okay. Yeah, I think sometimes that's the hard part about these lives. You know, I try to give as much information as I can, you know, giving you as much information as I think you might ask or could ask. Um, and but then you don't have the opportunity to raise your hand or just shout out, hey, what about this? Except right here and on the line. But that is why I'm trying to get those videos done at night, so you have, you know, can follow the cutting on that one. Although I didn't do the center square last night. It was just based on just these cuts right here. Oh, thank you for your love. Okay, almost done. Now, like I said, this will be for one whole block. So once we get this one together, at least it'll give you an idea. And I'll keep going. I won't stop here. But at least it'll show you one whole block. Okay, let's get that out of the way. Now, based on how I just put these together, there we go. Based on how I put these together is the way that all 4 of these should go. Actually, all 4 blocks should go the same way. Okay, so you're just going to line them up just like this. Okay, so you know exactly where they're going to go. Okay. Ah, there it is. Can you turn it the other way? You could. So you can have it go one direction, or you can have it go the other way. You can have the green on the right and the white on the left, or you can have the white on the right and the green on the left. But whatever you do, you want to try and have them all going the same direction. So if you decide to do it this way, which I think, if you can see my block here, I actually did have the green on the right and the white on the left. But you don't have to do it that way. I think on the paper, it shows exactly the opposite. Let me see if I find the paper. On paper, it's opposite. Okay? So you pick out which way you want to do this. Just make sure, unless you don't mind them being off, just make sure that you have them all going in the same direction. Okay, so once you figure out which way you want to do it, now am I going to struggle with this, aren't I? Okay, whew. Oh, it's almost as bad as the last jigsaw puzzle I did. Okay, so once you figure out what you want to do, then go ahead and flip them over and determine that, okay, I'm going to pin it on the right side so I know that that's the side I need to stitch down. Okay? And you still want to pay attention and line up your seams. So if your seam is over here, just like with your, you know, with all the jelly roll stuff we did, you want to make sure those seams line up. And then you want to make sure they line up across the top as well. So I'm going to, as soon as I get this piece together, yeah, that looks good. I'm going to pin it and I'm going to show it to you. That looks good, that looks good. I'm going to check my bottom and make sure it lines up there. Okay, and I'm going to put my last pin in. And I'm going to pay attention to where the seams are, not to where the edge is, okay? Because I want my seams to line up, and it shouldn't matter about my edge. If I have to be a little off on one, a little more on the other, let's do it. All right, so I've got it pinned together. Oh, excuse me. And if I look at my edges, my seams, I've matched those up. Sorry, it rolled a little bit. And I matched those up. Okay, so I know both ends are together. And pinned is exactly the way it needs to be stitched. Okay, so that one's done, and let's go ahead and do the other 3. I'm going to bring it up to the top. I do want to try and get them to match up at the top, and then make sure the seam matches. Then I'm going to move it just a little bit, pin it, and then recheck that seam and make sure that it stayed where it was supposed to. And in fact, before I put it into the sewing machine, I'm going to check it one more time. Okay, looking good. Okay, that looks good. We're gonna pin that. Yeah, when I was working on this last night, I was actually watching Silence of the Lambs. It's been a little while since I'd seen that one. Man, Jodie Foster was young in that movie. I did enjoy a lot of her movies. She was really good. Looks good. And last one. Takes a lot of work. You know, Miss Beelan, it really is more about just repetition, you know. And again, it's important to try to, you know, be as accurate as you can, but it's more important that you try. If it doesn't turn out right the first time, you know what? It doesn't matter. As long as you gave it your best try, and somebody that you've made that for is going to love it. It's good. They're going to love it. So yes, practice is important, but finishing it is important too. And trust me, a lot of the quilters all have what they call PhDs or UFOs. PhDs means projects half done. UFOs are unfinished objects. They have a whole bunch of names for basically not finished projects. And sometimes you get to work on a project and it kind of takes on a mind of its own, and you got to step away. You got to put it in a box, put it in a, you know, your project bag or box or whatever you have, and just step away from it and let it have its own space for a while. It's kind of like you're putting it in timeout. I think I heard somebody call it that once. I laughed. Anyways, so give it a timeout and start working on something else. And trust me, I've done that to a few of mine. But again, it's not always about perfection. It's just about the willingness to just keep trying. You know, there's people out there that really want these things, want our quilts, and will cherish them. You know, they're an heirloom. Once you make it, it's an heirloom. And I popped my thread. Give me just a second to rethread my machine. I think I was fighting with it on this one. It might be easier if you start from the bottom when doing this. I'm always one of those people, I always try to do it right, you know, top to bottom, top to bottom. And again, that's not necessarily what's important. It's just getting it through the machine. Have to fix that in a minute. All right, now let's get this rethreaded. Can you guys see okay? I forgot I've got my light on my machine, and sometimes that's harder for you guys to see. But I actually can see it really well right now. So does anybody have any really cool tricks on how to thread a needle? I actually heard one and tried it, and it really worked. So I was actually very, very surprised. And that was, when you go to thread your needle, instead of licking the thread, you actually wet the needle eye, and it pulls the thread right to the eye of the needle. And believe it or not, that works. Okay, I'm gonna lift that up, remove that pin, make sure that these are staying together, because this is the one I messed up. This is the one that the edge got all rolled up on me. Man, every time I run that one through there, it just like tries to suck it into the... Okay, let's try the next one. I might need to change out my needle. Sometimes if your machine is giving you a hard time, just change the thread and change the needle. Last night I was working on a quilt, and it was time to change out the bobbin, so I put a new bobbin. And these are pre-wound bobbins that I was using, and I could not get the tension to straighten out. You know, and this was the second one, same batch of thread, the second spool, but it just was giving me a fits. So I stopped, pulled it off, threw it in the trash, picked up another one, rethreaded, and it was fine. So sometimes it's not you, and it's not even the machine. Sometimes it's the thread. So be prepared to be willing to throw out some thread. All right. You know, I have to tell you, this is still just like when I was at the bank and counting my drawer, waiting because to see if I balanced by the end of the day. Now, I knew I was pretty good at it. You know, I was usually pretty accurate. I've only made a few striking errors. Thank God that they forgave me for. But most of the time, like 99% of the time, I was usually pretty accurate. But there's always that moment where you're waiting and you're about ready to hit the button to see if you balance. And this is where I'm at right now. I'm kind of holding my breath, waiting to see if everything balanced on these. Because when we're done with this, this should be 4.5 by 4.5. I'm glad I did those open. So if you look at the top, what we should end up with is 1/4 of an inch from the point to the edge, so that when you do your next 1/4 of an inch seam, you're going to butt right up to that, and you don't have to fudge or twist or move or whatever. So that's what you're aiming for. You're not always going to get it, because a seam's going to move at the last minute. The fabric's twisted a little bit because it's maybe a wonky kind of fabric. It's not always going to work out. And don't get frustrated. You know, you just work around it. It's okay to work around it. It's okay to not have your points exactly dead on accurate. I can't tell you how many years I didn't even realize what a point was. Funny story. Hang on. I get to talking and my nose goes like crazy. Okay. Funny story. When I was in my 30s, oh, hang on, let me read this real quick. Practice. Oh, hey, Miss Jeannie, welcome. Let's see, a fresh cut on the thread always helps. Yes. Yeah. And she said, and sometimes yelling at it. Yeah, that was me last night. I really wanted to throw things across the room, but unlike this machine where things aren't quite as expensive, on my long arm, one of those little bobbin holders is like 80 bucks. So those things that I don't throw. In fact, I try really hard to never let them drop more than 1 inch from where they are falling from, like my fingers. So I just hold them over the fabric. Whatever I'm working on, I hold it over the fabric, so I make sure that I don't drop it too far, because I already have ruined one. Ugh. Don't cut the thread on an angle. Oh, see, Miss Posey, I have done that. I can't tell you how many times I have done that. Because I was always trying to get that stupid thread to go into the eye of the needle. And then, of course, take into the fact that my eyesight really stinks. And if I don't use readers or these wonderful glasses that I got from my eye doctor, they're supposed to be for the computer, and they are fantastic. I love them. But, okay, crazy, crazy, crazy. Okay, and what else do we have? Okay, so my story. My story about in my 30s, I actually took karate. And I struggled with that. You know, I couldn't get my stances just right. I couldn't get them right. Well, here's what I found out. The ball of your foot is not your heel. The ball of your foot is actually that part that's right behind the toes, okay? So my instructor, some people call their instructor senseis. Mine was an instructor because she was a Christian woman, so she used Christian terminology, which was instructor, teacher, instructor. And she would say, okay, now get on the balls of your feet. So I'd lean back on my heels and she'd say, okay, now kick. And then of course I'd have to roll forward and kick. And always had the hardest time with my posture, my kicking. And it was only because I didn't understand the terminology. And she didn't realize that I didn't understand the terminology. And that what I thought was the ball of the foot was my heel. Because isn't that a ball? The heel of your foot, ball. It makes sense to me. But again, my terminology was wrong. And so I struggled with that I think I was in karate for like 3 years. And somehow I made it through the first 3 years and I did all right. But I could have done so much better had I understood the terminology. Okay, so that's my lesson. That is my life lesson that I learned, and hopefully it helps you understand the terminology. Okay, so what we're going to do now is we're going to lay this little bad boy out. And hopefully I have all of them just right. Then we're going to do just like we do a quilt, and we're going to go across row by row or down, whichever way works best for you. Flip that around, and then we're going to lay these out. So here we have, this is called a 9-patch star. I don't know why they call it that. I assume it's because it has 9 patches. And all of my greens are right here, 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 and here. And it took 2 of this one, 2 of the 2 and 5/8 by 5 and I think it was 5 and 3/16, something like that. Anyways, you should have that cutting instruction and you know, written down somewhere. So, or it should be on your papers that I sent you, I think. So one of these would cut out 2. So you only needed 2 of that one of one color going one direction, 2 of that same color going a different direction, because remember, you're going to cut one this way, but you're going to cut the other one this way. And then of the other color, same thing. 2 cut this way, and then 2 cut that way. So it didn't really require that much fabric, okay? Which was kind of cool. All right, so let's go ahead and put these together. And I'm going to work from left to right, so I'm going to work my way over. Ooh, let's measure that real quick. Move these back just a hair, so I have a little bit of room here. Like I said, this is one of those things where you're just going to kind of hold your breath until it's all the time. Also, oh, cut the thread on an angle. I thought you said don't cut the thread on an angle. I see it now. Cut the thread on an angle. Yeah, I do that all the time, is cutting it on an angle. And voila! It is 4.5 by 4.5. Perfect. So we should be able to use the 1/4 inch seam on this and put it all together. Okay? So let's go ahead and, oops, see, now I started off on the wrong side. Bad girl, bad girl. Okay. Now when I did it, because at one point my seams were not working out right when I was doing the sample, so that I could explain it. Ooh, that batik is some thick fabric. I could hardly get my pin in there. So when I was doing it, it wasn't turning out quite the way I had hoped. And so I cut out the next ones. Well, this is going to be interesting. I can't wait to see this one. So I cut out the next ones just slightly larger. And when I mean slightly, I mean if it was like 5 and 3/16, I did 5 and 4/16, which would have been 1 2/8. Sorry. I was actually really good at math, but you know, brain gets a little rusty after a while. Okay, so this one is going to be interesting because the triangles don't go the same direction, okay? So don't stress over trying to match up those angles. That is not important right now, okay? Just if everything turned out right and you've got a 4.5 inch square, you should be able to go in and just put them front to back and don't even look at where they line up. They're not going to line up together, not with these, not the one in the center, okay? So hopefully everybody heard that, because that That is one of those things. That was another thing I struggled with at first on that block, was I kept looking at that thing thinking, why? You know, why is that one? And then it's like, it dawned on me finally, oh yeah, that's right. It's because this triangle is actually a whole different, it's like a 90-degree angle where these are 63 degrees. Now, how I remembered that, I'm not sure. Don't ask. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and stitch these together. Come on over here, join me. Join me over here. Okay, how are we doing? Yeah, that's, you know, that Miss Posey, that is the way I've always done it, is cutting it on an angle, and then I would lick the thread, and so that it would go on a lot smoother, or go into the needle a lot smoother. And still, I would sometimes have an immense amount of trouble with that. I wish I'd come all the way down to the end on that. Okay. And again, just watch your seams. Just watch your edges. You want to make sure everything is straight, because if you sew it on crooked, it'll be crooked. Sometimes if you just stop and let the feed dogs grab a hold of it, it'll stop trying to bunch it up on you. Although for some reason, yeah, I think I just need to change out my needle at this point. Let me see what I can get done here. Okay. So let's take a look at what we have. These little holes that my fingers keep getting into, they're so small. I miss my gingers. I gotta get them shipped out so they'll get them fixed for me. It's either that again or just buy a new one. Too cheap. Too cheap. All right. Let's get our iron back here and let's take a look at what we have. All right, any tips on the best way to thread a needle? Taking ideas. So on mine, it was something I heard or saw. You just, instead of wetting the thread, you actually wet the needle eye, and if the thread is dry, and I've seen it work with it wet, but if the thread is dry, then when you put the thread up to the eye of the needle, the water actually sucks the thread right up to the hole. All right. Now, this is why I don't want you to worry about lining up those seams, because the way the angle is here, this is a 90-degree angle and this is a 63-degree angle. They're not going to be off, or they're not going to meet up except at the 1/4 inch. So as long as your square is your 4.5 and you've got this right, and you should, if you've lined everything up, you should be fine. Then those will meet up at the 1/4 inch. So when you line it up and sew it on, you should be good. It should be accurate. If it's not, again, don't worry about it. It's okay. In fact, if you look really hard, and you don't even really have to look that hard, you can see where I've missed a couple of them on these. That's why I'm not getting up real close, so you can't see my mistakes. Miss Sheila, woman, I love you. You crack me up. Miss Sheila says, automatic needle threader. I love it. Love it. Okay, so let's put these back in row. Look at that. Aren't they looking so good? Yes. Hey, y'all, when I get these right, I'm just as excited as you guys are. Okay, yep, gotta have my glasses back on. And I need my handy dandy needles. Alrighty, pins, sorry, pins. I am going to pull this down just a little bit. Probably should have this on the table doing this. This would probably be easier if I did it on the table. And for some reason, my little square is just slightly smaller, and it's probably, again, because it's something I stitched. So I'm just going to kind of make sure it's straight. Okay. Now, when you're doing these, you can do them all at once. You don't have to do each individual triangle or block, sorry. You don't have to do each individual block by itself. I like to do one first to make sure that I haven't thrown something off and need to adjust the stitch. So instead of using 1/4 of an inch, maybe use slightly over or slightly under, or in one case, I actually had to use 1/8 of an inch. And I really had to be careful because I'd stitched off of it at least once. So take your time. If you're more comfortable doing one at a time, doing one block at a time, do one block at a time. We're not in any hurry here. We're not going anywhere, right? Be like Dave Bautista. Stay in. Hey Dave, you want to go somewhere? No, let's stay in. I don't know. I thought the commercial was kind of cute myself. He did a commercial about staying in. Alrighty, so let's go ahead and get these stitched down. And then after this, we just have a couple more to do, and then that's one whole block. And there it is, stuck again. There we go, that's better. I think I hear May outside with Grandpa. He's out in the garden. So we've got something that is not a rat or mouse eating our zucchinis. Anybody have any clues? Anybody have a hint? And how do I kill it? Get rid of it? Make it stop eating my zucchinis? I have yet to get one single zucchini to grow to maturity because of something that's eating it in my garden. And it's inside the fence, inside the pool cage, along with my tomatoes. Well, they're actually his tomatoes because I can't grow a thing. I do not have a green thumb. Anyways, so we have, as of yet, have not been able to have one single zucchini from it because something keeps eating them. Okay. I'm going to trim up my little mess ups over here. Oh, moly, that thing got messed up back there. Okay. Oh, sorry. Come on over. Come join me. I'm here. I'm here. We have lots of wild rabbits. Yeah, you know, that was one of my other thoughts. Maybe it was a rabbit, but like I said, it's inside the pool cage. And there is a spot where a rat ate a hole through it, but we keep patching it. And every time we actually put a new fresh piece of screen on it, they just ate through that too. But we patched it again, and we put out some more traps, but whatever it is, does not like peanut butter. So that part we've tried. But we do have a lot of rabbits over here. Yeah, see? Not always perfect. Close enough, though. See? Close enough for horseshoes and hand grenades, or horse hands and grenades. Anyways. Looking good. Okay. There's that. There's that, and there's that. So our very next thing we're going to do is we're going to flip it over. Now here is where you do need to match up seams. So you just want to make sure that you match this seam to that seam, and I'll put it up here in just a second. Let me and You want to try and match up that triangle to this triangle. Nope, wait. Nope, not that one. Don't worry about it. Just get the seam on there. Don't worry about matching those triangles. That's that center seam. Okay. So we got that one there. And then we're going to make sure this seam is lined up with that seam. All right. And pin that. And pray my needle holds up. That does not look like it's centered, so let's just kind of make it centered. I'm going to slow down as I get closer to the needle. Okay. And I'm dealing with a lot of fabric right there in that corner, so I'm going to go ahead and pull my pin early. You know how terrible I am about pulling my pins. But I'm definitely going to make a very concerted effort to make sure I'm pulling that pin before I run over it. Because with the fabric already in a huge hunk right there, I want to make sure I'm not causing my machine any more stress than I have to. And I do stress my machines. I will be the first person to tell you that. Alright, let's see how we did. Holding my breath. Okay, come on, let's take a look. So I can grab a hold of it. Not bad. Alright, what do you think? There's half of it. Okay. Let's iron that open, put that last piece on. This is the one time I wish my pressing bar was just a little bit longer. Because I do a lot of 12-inch blocks. Well, 12 and a half. 12 and a half. My unfinished, they are 12 and a half. Finished, when they're actually in the quilt, they will measure 12 inches. Or at least that's a general idea anyways. So, Miss Jerry had asked me about a tip. She said, what do you have for binding? Or, you know, what kind of sewing tip do you have? I said, well, I have this really cool one that Miss Janice showed me. It's using one of those cores on the large toilet roll paper, which, by the way, Miss Janice, if you have an extra one, I have seemed to misplace mine. Yikes. Okay, I seem to have misplaced mine, so if you have an extra one, let me know. Well, anyways, so the other day, I was like, okay, I gotta put a binding on. There's all this binding. I don't want it hanging down. I can't find my bar, so I try to take core, and it was okay. It definitely wasn't the toilet roll paper core, which would have been so much easier. But I emptied out my thread catcher completely, wiggled it out, make sure I had all the stuff out of it, and then put all of it in there, and then started using it. And just as I was stitching, it was just being gently pulled out, because I just, I kind of put it in, one end, and then kept going, putting it down on top of it, so that as I pulled it out, it was pulling it out in, in order. And that actually worked out really well. Oh, wonderful. Well, make me one that's at least 12 and a half inches, because I really want one that's 12 and a half inches. And, pins, here we go. So that actually worked out really well for, and I can put it anywhere. It's got this little thingy on the back that I use for gripping, but it also, because of this little groove right here in my table, it catches that groove, so I can slide this all over one end to the other. So I just put it over there, close to where it was going to go onto the machine, and just stitched away. And it worked out fabulously. Absolutely fabulously. Okay. All right, making sure I got that lined up. And let's see about this one. So we're going to have to... Okay, let's just... Okay, so we're just looking to make sure that we have that lined up. That seam is right on top. And I find that when it's ironed open like that, that seam will lay down a whole lot easier. I can line it up a lot easier. I know sometimes when they're like iron, one is ironed one side, one is ironed to the other side, you can kind of nest them. Sometimes that works for me and sometimes it doesn't. Okay, let's come back here. Come back, come back. Okay, there we go. All right, so we have it hopefully lined up properly. Let's see. And then I'm gonna check this side, because I didn't do this on the other side, and so I wound up having to fix it. So let's go ahead and fix it ahead of time. Ah, this fabric is so wonderfully thick. Definitely not a cheap fabric, that's for sure. Okay, come on over. We are almost there. Now, after we're done with this block, you just have 3 more to go, unless you've been doing them all at the same time, and that's great. But if you need to go, we've actually done a demonstration where you've seen how to put together your blocks. So if you need to go, you can go. I am going to sit here for a few more minutes and start working on the other 3 blocks. Don't forget to post pictures of your blocks as you finish them, because I would love to see them, especially, you know, well, especially, I mean, everybody, people that bought the kits, the ones that are using their own fabrics. I know Miss Sheila used her own fabric as well, instead of the kit, which is great. It's fine. I have no problem with that. But make sure you're posting them. Post them on SRQ, and if you're in the Manatee Patchworkers, go ahead and post them there as well. I want to make sure that, you know, you're sharing some of your accomplishments right there on the Patchworker site as well, because they, you know, they're always looking for that. It's always encouraging when you see somebody else, you know, still working on quilting, even in times when we're kind of stuck here at home. All right. I just used my triangulation software for the quarter square centers. Worked very well. Oh yeah, that's right. You know, I originally thought about doing that, making that for you guys, but then I was like, you know, I'm already dealing with so much trying to get these patterns just right. If I add one more thing to my list of things I have to send you guys, I'm probably going to pull my hair out, because I was definitely losing it there for a little while. But ta-da, there you have it. This is a 9-patch square. We need 4 of these to go into our quilt. Now, just so I can kind of back up here, if you would like to make your quilt slightly larger, maybe you like the quilts longer, like I do. I like them longer. Square's fine, but to me it's, I'm all about usage. I want people to be able to use it. Even though they look great for wall hangings, I want them to have use. So if you like them long, like I do, you just need to decide which ones you want to do. You're going to need a little more fabric, and make 4 more of these, or do 4 more focus fabrics, or actually you need 8, because you can do 2 more at the top or closer to the top and 2 more in the middle. Or you can split the focus fabric apart and put, you know, 4, you know, you'll figure it out. You can either do more focus, more stars, more, whatever you want to do. But I'm, you know, like I said, I kind of like them a little more rectangle, and you just couple more feet in there and you've got almost a twin, or at least a nice long lap blanket or lap quilt. Okay. So here it is, and if you need to jump off, maybe it's time to start dinner or something, please feel free. I'm going to go ahead and finish this up with working the other 3, but I do have to start basically from the beginning, because here are those 3 blocks. And I did separate my fabrics, and see my cute little clips? I know everybody has some of these, so also don't forget a few of my favorite things. That's the drawing we're doing this time. We won't do it until next week. Hang on, I need a tissue again. My nose just seems to be all over the place. Tickling me too. Okay, so our drawing this time is a few of my favorite things. I really thought that was a cute name for a drawing. So in that, I'm going to have some things that I like to have at my sewing table. Like I'm hoping to find some more of these. I'd like to put one of those in there. And this I found is really good for if you rip something out, you can run this down that seam and it just takes a lot of those stitches right out. Even better than the old lint roller thing, which I really like the lint roller, or duct tape. I've done that too. I'll probably have some of these in there, maybe even a couple of the big ones. There are so many things I would like to put in this, things that I have and things that I'll have to go get. So by next Monday, no, sorry, next Tuesday, by next Tuesday, I should have my basket of a few of my favorite things for you. And all you need to do to enter it, and again, even if you've already sent me your email, just send me an email. Send me an email with, and your email should already be in there. Hopefully I can pull it up, but because I will email the winner. So send me an email saying, put me in the drawing. Even if I already have your email, just put it in there and say, put me in the drawing. Because if you don't tell me to put you in the drawing, you are not going to be in the drawing. I did get 2 yesterday. See if I can get that over just a little bit further. There we go. I did get 2 of them yesterday. So you are in the drawing. Even if you just send me an email and you don't say anything, that's not going to get you in. You have to say, put me in the drawing, or I want to be in the drawing. Anything that says something about the drawing, I will put you in the drawing. And then we will do the drawing. One lucky person will get a few of my favorite things, and probably at least a charm pack, and maybe if I can scrounge up either a layer cake or a jelly roll. I'm not sure. We'll see what's in there. We'll find out what's in there. You might just have to be surprised at what's in there. But definitely plan on finding another one of these, and there will definitely be some clips and a few other things that just are really important to me and things I just love to have. So I'll make sure they're in there. Remember, email me. I'm expecting to see emails. All right. Now, like I said, if you need to jump off, feel free to. I'm going to go ahead and continue on. So if anybody has any great, wonderful ideas, please feel free to share your ideas. I love ideas. Okay. So this is where all that chain piecing stuff comes in. Handy. So we're going to put that there, that there. Your spaghetti was not bad. I just ate too much of it. He made spaghetti last night. It was very delicious, but by the end of the night, my tummy was going blue, 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 blue.
I made spaghetti and it was very delicious.
It was very delicious. I just ate way too much of it. Way too much.
Your daughter on the phone.
I'm still on. I'm going to be on for at least another half hour.
Oh, she's going to be on for another half hour, she said, so she'll call you.
Yep, I'll call you later.
All right. All right.
Hey,
Yeah.
Is she still on?
Yeah, you there? No, she hung up.
Yeah, she's quick. I'll tell you what, it was a lot easier when we had phones on the wall and you had to tell somebody, hey, wait a minute, don't hang up. Now with the cell phone, it's like, bloop, and that's it. You're done. Conversation is ended. So if you don't catch them before they jump off, you're pretty much toast. All right, so let's make sure I have this the right direction. So I want to make sure that as I'm setting up my next ones, that I have them in the right order. This one goes there, this one goes there, this one goes there, this one goes there. Okay. All right, they're all lined up and ready to pin. Nah, you're not gonna be able to see that while I'm working. Sorry. And let's go ahead and turn it down so we can watch this part more than this. I'm definitely, you know, that's a good idea. That was just sitting there thinking in my head for a second. I think I'm going to get my husband trying to set me up a Spotify or Pandora or something. If there is one thing that you would listen to more than the other. Spotify, Pandora, I don't know. What is some of the other ones they have? Those are the two I know of. Which one would you have on your phone or an app that you would listen to? Because I will try to put together a few of my favorite songs so that while we're together, you guys can listen to music, so that when I'm sitting here staring at my fabric, you have some background music playing. I did actually get them to release the copyright on one of the songs, or at least something that was on when, which I didn't do it. They just sent me an email, said that they were releasing the copyright for one of the YouTube videos I did, because I don't know if it was music or something playing in the background that YouTube flagged. Which, you know, good for them. They got to take care of what's right, and copyright is what's right, right? Okay. That's why Miss Jerry's been so great, because she let me pick her brain about, you know, copyrights and blocks and things like that, because, you know, some of this stuff I'm really new to, designing my own patterns, which, by the way, I'm working on that, and but I am terrible at writing them out, so please just be patient with me. The whole video thing is so much easier for me when it comes to patterns, so if I can get them, you know, designed, I'll just keep practicing on learning how to do the pattern part of the writing part of it, you know, the written instruction part. That's probably the hardest part for me, is doing the written instruction part, because you have to be careful. You can't, you know, copy someone else's words on how to do a half square triangle or whatever. You've got to have your own wording for it, because otherwise it's still plagiarizing. So does anybody have children that they have to teach during the day? I think music would interfere when you're talking. It was actually kind of nice when I had it on the back wall, because it was just kind of low. But then when I went back and listened to it, some of them were just a little too loud. Well, no, that was just when I got started. I turned it down and it was better. Anyways, the old teacher would be glad to help with writing. Oh, Miss Faye, or Miss Sheila. I hate that. I keep getting your stage name mixed up with your real name, or vice versa. I don't know. That would be great. We could sit down one day and try to go through these patterns and figure out how to write them. I could use some lessons. You want to teach me? I'm terrible at it. I was working on one the other day. When I say the other day, this was probably like months ago. I was working on one and I was writing it out, and this one step took up like a page. And I'm like, oh, this is not, no, I'm definitely no good at this. It's not supposed to take that much. Especially when you look at people who can do those little cardboard pieces, like, you know, this size, you know, a little cardboard piece this size, and it's the whole pattern. It's like, really? How the heck do they do that? Jeez. Like, somebody, like, smack me with a writer wand or something, and bam, you can do it now. Poof. Abracadabra. Bibbidi bobbidi boo or something. Somebody bibbidi bobbidi boo me. Oh, okay. See, now here I thought you just had a stage name. It's funny, when I was on TV, and I say that very loosely because it's, you know, reality shows are not okay, let's be real here. As much as some of them, I do deal with some real situations, some of that stuff ain't real. And yeah, it is real and it's not real. It's hard to explain. Anyways, it was kind of funny because I go by Robin, but that's not my real name. But for the show, I did actually use my real name. I don't know why. I don't know why I did. I just did. Instead of using my nickname. So if anybody is curious, Rob-a-Lee really is my real name. And I don't have a middle name. But all my children do. It's kind of funny here. I have no middle name, but my children all have middle names. All right. I think what we're going to do is, I'm seeing how long this is taking trying to get all of these done. So I think after we're done putting all these blocks together, I'm just going to let you guys go and run off and do your blocks, you know, however you're comfortable. Because this is actually probably going to wind up taking us another hour or two. So take your time tonight and just do up as much of it. Take as much time as you need, because I do have to work on dinner here soon. Although I think my husband's doing most of it. He's over there laughing at me. And I'm running out of pins.
I do most all of it.
When? Today?
Yeah.
I was going to say, don't say all of dinners, because I usually cook dinner. Which, I love cooking dinner. For the longest time, I was always kind of limited on time and what I had to work with. And since the quarantine, I have actually been able to really experiment. I actually did taco omelets the other day because we had taco meat left over. And so I did a taco omelet. It was actually really good. Had some salsa, Mexican cheese on it, some sour cream. It's actually really good. Actually, now I'm kind of getting a little kind of hungry for it. Just trying to make sure I've got everybody's comments answered. And again, if for some reason I miss one of your comments, please, I'm not ignoring anybody. Just repost it or ask again. Hopefully, if somebody sees a comment that I have not answered, you'll go in there and just kind of make a quick comment. Because I know I have some ladies who have a lot of experience in quilting and stitching and other areas. So please feel free to chime in and answer any questions that pop up. I'll try to get to them right away. I try to look and make sure that I've got everybody's questions answered. You know, you kind of get into a pattern of this, and it actually starts to go really quickly. That first one felt like it took me forever trying to get those done. And I actually do have more pins. I just don't have them in my pin cushion. I really like my pin cushion. I told y'all I got that when I was over at Missouri Star Quilt Company, right? I didn't get it from them. I got it from there's a little antique shop that's not associated with them. She was very, very sure to mention that. But she was right next door to them. And she had two of these. I bought both of them and then gave one away in a drawing. And I love this little pin cushion. It's just a wool pin cushion. And I'm not going to say they were cheap, but they were definitely a lot less expensive than I normally see wool go for. So how many other projects do you have going at one time right now? Because I actually have about 3 going right now. I have another scrappy quilt that I'm working on for somebody else. My sister has a birthday coming up, so I have plans to get back to work on her quilt. And I have the quarantine quilt, the quarantine soup quilt that I started, and I'm almost done as far as putting together the top, but I had to stop yesterday so I could get back to work on this. And tonight, of course, I've got to work on the other block. So hopefully right after dinner I will have the YouTube video up, so you can go onto YouTube and watch the cutting instructions. They're pretty much the same, except that there's another triangle in that. Let's see, is this it? Right here? That's a 9 patch. Hang on, let me see, where'd I put it? This is it right there. No, I haven't actually loaded this up yet. Okay, so when I get done with this, I will make sure that this gets put on there. So there's the 1 inch mark. Just make sure that when you print it, that you enlarge it. If you have to print it and then turn around and copy it, just make sure you enlarge it or shrink it enough to fit this 1 inch line. This should be 1 inches right here. So 1 inch from here to here. Okay, so this right here is something different. We're going to take these little corners. They're going to be just like this, and they're going to go across here and here, which is going to create this star right here. Now we could do it just the same way we did this, but this is going to cut out some of the time on making these right here. So that's what we're going to be working on tomorrow. And I will get those cutting instructions out to you tonight. I just want to make sure I kind of go over it triple time because I keep having to put an amendment out there, and I'm so frustrated with myself. I want it to be, I want to at least have one set out there that I don't have to amend. Okay, and again, just take your time. Line it up at the bottom. Line it up at the top. Susan, what were we talking about that had to do with 3? I'm sorry, my brain is like, boop. Like it just flipped over and played dead.
Oh, no, I'm not going to do that.
Why never play this one?
I never have either. That's why I'm not going to do it. Let's wait till your mother comes, and then you guys can do it.
Good answer. Good answer over there, Joe. She's got a pack of those balloons that you hook up to the water, and they've got projects currently. Oh, thank you, Miss Susan. Yeah, yeah, I think I have. I mean, I think I'm about there. 3 or 4 current, but I have a bunch of UFOs. A bunch. In fact, I have some that are in bags that haven't even been. Fabric is there, the pattern's there, and nothing has been cut out yet. Hey, no attitudes over there, May. And so yeah. Anybody else? I'll try to stay on that thought until somebody else answers. Sorry, I'm really bad about that, y'all. I think Miss Susan is the one that is, and not I think I know. Miss Susan is the one that's doing the Farm Girl, and that is such an adorable pattern. Oh my gosh, it's a block of the month that she's doing through. You know, and I don't remember who she's doing it through, but it is absolutely adorable. She showed it to me the other day, and the colors are just so cute, and the blocks are so adorable, and they're like 6-inch blocks. I hardly do 6-inch blocks. I'm one of those people, I like that instant gratification thing, so if I have 12-inch blocks, then it goes a lot faster, and I can throw it together faster too. But I'm working on that, because I actually have the Farmer's Wife, 1920s Farmer's Wife book, that I'm about, I want to say a third, but it's probably more like an eighth of the way through it. But I do love those little things. They're very cute. And I guess it's all kind of reminiscent of the Dear Jane or whatever. But I do have a peacock quilt I need to put together for my sister for her birthday. That was her one ask of me, is she wanted a quilt, and I have yet to get that thing finished. And I think I'm about past three birthdays now, where I haven't finished that quilt. But you know, sometimes families want miracles. Like, they're like, oh, just make me a king size, no problem. And it's like, yeah, okay. Ordered through Stitch in Heaven. Oh, is that who that was? Cool. Well, I really liked it. I thought the colors were just gorgeous. And the patterns were really cute too. I mean, really adorable. So anybody else have a bunch of projects or have some projects that they got stuck in the corner somewhere that they're working on? Mine are not stuck in a corner. Mine are just all over the place. Kind of wish I had a corner to stick them in. Excuse me. It's my Diet Coke talking back to me. So if I had to ask, what is the one quilt you would like to do, but maybe due to time constraints or something like that, you just haven't even attempted it yet? But it's kind of like your quilter's bucket list. Does anybody have something like that? I do. I'll tell you, mine is the double wedding ring. I would like to do an original double wedding ring with all the little squares and all the little corners, and that is my bucket list, my quilter's bucket list, project bucket list. I don't know, what would you even call that? Although after I finish the one for me, the scrappy quilt, I'm really happy with that one. I love that one. I was thinking that with this whole quarantine thing, that it would be kind of neat, I think, to do a nailed that one, didn't I? To do a quilt that has masks on it. You know, the shape of the masks that are really popular, that we've been doing a lot of. I don't know about you guys, maybe you're not doing a lot of the fitted face mask, but I've done a lot of fitted face mask, and I have some that are cut and ready to go to get stitched, sewn together, but I haven't really had the opportunity to do that. Hopefully getting back to it eventually so I can get them posted or hand out to the hospital. I have done some for the hospital as well, and headbands too. I did some headbands for them too. See, mine is a quilt that is currently in the clouds of my mind. It is an homage to Gustav. Hey, yeah, you know, I was just watching a movie last night, Miss Posey. It's called This Means War, and the main female character, Reese Witherspoon, loves Gustav, and he took her to show her some of his, some of those pictures, and I thought, wow, those are really neat. And you're right, that would be so cool. I can't wait to see it. So that's on your bucket list. Okay. My mother-in-law made a double wedding ring top for us, but died before finishing it. Oh, it was all sewn by hand, and I finished it. That is what got me to put. Oh, Susan, what a wonderful story. Well, I mean, wonderful in that, you got it finished and it's on there. Some people, when something like that happens, those things are just lost. They're lost to time. It's lost to time and to the, our generation that no longer has that to behold. And it's something that can be passed down. And I'm going to tell you what, there's not a whole lot of people that do hand stitching, hand sewing. I know I did quite a bit of it before I started machine stitching. And I know I've probably told this story before, but the only reason I actually got into machine quilting was because I stunk at it so bad. I mean, I could hand quilt easy. My stitches were getting smaller and looking better, and then somebody said, oh, you should try machine quilting, and I did, and it was terrible. I was awful at it, and I thought, well, can't let this beat me. So I got on there and started doing practicing my machine quilting, and it wasn't until I got the long arm quilt that it actually looks good. So even my stuff I did with my brother didn't look nearly as good as the stuff I do on the long arm. All right, and as usual, it just kind of sucked that right down into the throat. So I'm going to flip it over and do it from the other side and move it down just a little bit. Hopefully, phew. I don't know why it does that, but it just does. I mean, I'm sure somebody has a good reason why it does that. Anyways, Gustav Clement. They pronounced it on the show last night on the TV movie I was watching. Because I have a TV out there when I'm working on my long arm. And I really like This Means War. It's got Reese Witherspoon, Tom Hardy, and Chris Pine, and he's one of my favorites. He's right up there with Gerard Butler and Sam Worthington. What else we got? I probably could raise my table up a little bit more so I'm not quite leaning so much, but it actually makes it, I think you can see it pretty easy from there. Oh, let's see. I want to go too high because then I'm going to wind up hitting my... Oh, well, you can see my thing. Yay! Okay. Guess I should have done this earlier. I don't know if any of y'all have Martelli. I know a few of the ladies do. I love my Martelli table. This thing just rocks it. Because you know when you're cutting with your rotary cutter, you know a certain height is perfect, but when you're stitching or sewing, you know another height is better. And so sometimes we'll have two different tables: one for stitching, one for cutting, one for pattern piecing. And this pretty much, you know, as long as it's big enough, you can do pretty much anything at it. So I love this table. This is my newest one. I got the biggest one they had because I wanted just a little more space. I want to be able to put my sewing machine here and still have plenty of room to cut. And even on the middle one, I felt like it wasn't quite enough space. So I splurged. So I'm kind of hoping to sell my other one because I have the middle size one. But if I don't, I am not going to be heartbroken. I absolutely love it because now I have two tables I can work from. So it just means I got to keep paying on the one I bought, this one. Which, it's not bad. It was a, you know, no interest till kind of thing. So I'm just kind of going along with that. So how many of my ladies out there have a Martelli table? I think for me, it's only been like the last 4 years that I had a Martelli table, and I just did not know what I was missing. Now, what I used to do is I had like a little kitchen table, wooden kitchen table, and those wooden tables work great because, especially if they're solid, so when your machine's on there and you're stitching along, especially if you're going at a really fast rate, then you don't have to worry about it bouncing. Like if you've ever put it on an 8-foot, 6-foot, even a 4-foot plastic table, you know, the portable kind, you will find that it will jump a lot, especially if you go very, very quickly. So that was kind of nice that I didn't have to deal with that. Okay, Here's another really cool thing. This will not be in a few of my favorite things, although it is one of my favorites. It's just a little gizmo. It's called the cutting gizmo. I love it. It makes short work of this. Now I could use my scissors, and I have, but when it comes to doing a bunch of these, this just makes it so much easier. And I find I don't rip or accidentally cut my fabric either. Now please understand, I do not advertise for anyone. Like, I'm not a paid advertiser. If I'm telling you I like something, it's because I like it, okay? I sell the pressing boards, not for me, but for some of my retired ladies, or a couple of my retired ladies that do them, and I just a little bit something for them to be able to have a little bit of extra income, and I love doing it. I know they're happy I do it for them. So, but I am not a paid advertiser, so don't think I'm trying to sell you something that's not worth it. If I don't like it, I will tell you I hate it, or it's not my favorite, which I always told my kids that. I said, if you don't like something, just say it's not my favorite. All right, so on these first ones that we do, I tell you just to iron it over to the dark side, and you can do that. But if we're going to go ahead and, you know, pretty much open all the other seams, might as well open these as well. But if you want to be faster, just go ahead. These first ones you don't have to iron open, but I'm going to. I love the kitting gizmo. Purchased it for the fun of it, but I love it. Yep. Yes, Miss Jane, absolutely. And you know, and I'm not even sure how I came across mine. I think I might have bought mine from the Cotton Patch. And as you can tell, I don't necessarily endorse any one particular fabric store, and it's not like I'm even pushing mine, because I do have fabric, by the way. But it's not even that I'm pushing mine. But when I find something that I like, I am more than happy to share, you know, where I got it and how much fun it is. Let's see, I switched out for a vintage pink Formica table. Oh yeah! Oh, I bet that's a pretty sturdy table, Miss Jane. So Miss Jane, I'm not sure if I recognize. See, that name sounds familiar. Are you local? Are you around here, or are you from one of my other states? Because I have people from all over. I wind up with California, Delaware, Argentina. We have someone who joined us yesterday and today who is actually, I'm pretty sure it was Argentina. So these are the pressing boards that some of my retired ladies make, and I sell for them. The only markup on it is the fees that not eBay, I don't sell them on eBay, Etsy charges me. I try to make sure I at least cover my costs so that I don't have to pay out of pocket. But my ladies get all the profits from it. And they just make more and give me more to put up here. And they're so nice, so wonderful. No, I'm in Virginia. Do work with Sew Expo in Lakeland. Oh, cool. Yeah, you know, I was going to the Lakeland. I was all set up to go to the Lakeland, had my tickets and everything. And then they canceled it. I mean, I get it. Don't worry. I mean, I'm not mad. I'm not angry or anything. I was so disappointed because it would have been my first one that I got to go to. When I lived in South Carolina, it was like living in a whole nother country because there were no guilds, at least none in the area, or even close to any of the areas I was in, close to. I had, the only fabric store pretty much carried the same thing all the time. They didn't have a whole lot of really hip, cutesy kind of fabric. And the next closest one was about 40 miles away. And then the next one after that was about an hour and a half away in Charleston. And let's see, where in South Carolina? I'm from Charleston. I lived in Hampton, little old Hampton, South Carolina. If you were going anywhere between Georgia, I think even North Carolina, Hilton Head, you pretty much had to pass through Hampton to get there. So if you were going from Charleston to Augusta, you had to pass through Hampton. I think it's 278. I think 278 ran right through there. And let me tell you, we would get lots and lots. Yep, been there. Yep. Ms. Jane says, yeah, been there. A cute little town, about 6,000 people, not very many people. They're kind of like, I live in Bradenton or Lakewood Ranch, whatever you want to call it, but it's kind of like Sarasota, Bradenton. They're two different towns, but they might as well be connected because everything is associated between Sarasota and Bradenton. And that's the way Hampton was. They were Hampton-Varnville. Hampton-Varnville. You know, I'm trying to picture the quilt shop because, believe it or not, even though I did start quilting when I was in South Carolina, I didn't get a chance to visit a lot of quilt shops. But again, that was like more than 10 years ago. I moved out of there, but I was there for like 25 years. And I did love it. Living in a small town is so cool, but you have to take it with a grain of salt, because I'm gonna tell you what, when they say in small towns everybody knows your business, they're not kidding. It's like for real. It really is. You'd be surprised when someone will walk up to you and go, oh, you know, how's your daughter doing? I heard she blah blah blah, and you're like, well, how did you know that? It's like there's some kind of grapevine in these small towns. And there's usually that one person in town that just makes sure that all the news gets out there. God bless them. Oh, I bet there's some cute. Well, you know what? Every once in a while when I go visit a friend of mine over there in, well, she did live over in Okady. Okay, it looks like Okady, but it's like Okady or something like that. Anyways, so we would go into Hilton Head, Charleston, because she was going into thrift stores, buying jewelry and things like that, because that's what she does for a job. Used to be cross stitch. Oh, okay. I don't know. I cross stitch. You know, there was a point where I just had to draw the line. There's only so many crafts and things you can do before you either one, run out of money, or two, you run out of time. So I had to finally put my foot down and say, okay, that's it. I'm loving quilting. Quilting is what I want to do. And so I pretty much put all my other stuff on the side thing. But you know what? It's kind of funny because there are so many crafting things that cross over into quilting. Like, take applique, for instance. I mean, to do some of the applique, you can involve a scan and cut, pre-cut. Some of the other things that you might use for, stamping or scrapbooking, or, these things, can all be somehow intertwined in with quilting. And so it's just really neat. Okay. Use the eek. Okady. I don't know. It was so funny. My friend was trying to tell me how to say it, because I was calling it Okady. And she's like, no, it's not Okady. I'm like, okay. And all those towns. It's like over here in Bradenton, we have a town called Oniko. And so many people try to pronounce it Oniko. And it's Oniko. Then we got Samoset. It's probably we got a lot. I was going to say it's probably one of our country-ish towns over here, but that's not true, because we still have Mayaka. We got Mayaka over here. I didn't do them all like that. Okay. I just got it upside down, that's all. I was looking at it, I was like, wait a minute, that one's different from all the others. Scary. And but no, I love South Carolina, and the views in South Carolina are just beautiful. I mean, you can drive from one town to the other town, and there's actually a break. There's like a spot in between the towns where you can just enjoy the view, the greenery, the cattle, or whatever they have out there. There's just a lot of open land, and I really love that. And I forgot how nice it was until I came back to Florida, and in between the towns here are just more towns, more subdivisions. And in fact, they've taken a lot of the really pretty land and turned it into subdivisions, which that's progress. Unfortunately, I miss it. It's home. Yeah, I miss it too. You're gonna get me crying over here, Miss Jane. Anyways, but yep, I've lived here and I've lived in South Carolina. Now I have traveled quite a bit. I've been to Hawaii. I've been to New Zealand. Let's see. Let me think. I have passed through London.
Minnesota,
Been in Minnesota. I've passed through
South
London.
Iowa.
I got to take a trip to Missouri Star Quilt Company. I was like so happy. I got to go to Missouri. My husband went out of his way to take me there so I could go visit the Missouri Star Quilt Company, and I took all day. I want you to know. He's like, so we can spend like a half a day, right? And I'm like, no. We have to spend, it's like, you know, it's one of those things where you just have to take a whole day, you know, so you're going to spend the night and then go there, spend all day long looking through every single store, every bin, touch all the fabrics, and then maybe stay overnight one more night and come back and do it again. So I'm actually would love to be able to go and take one of their retreats, but every time I go on, all of them are sold out, and it's like 3, 6, 9 months later, there might be another one. It's like I cringe. Okay, so what we're going to do now is we're going to start lining them up, because you want to make sure you have the right amount. Well, actually, just as long as you put them all in the right place, you're good. So you're going to have to, and they have to be even too. There we go. Okay. No. That one. Oh, geez. I'm like losing my mind here. Okay. All right. So I'm just going to, what I'm going to do is I'm going to stack them up and figure out where they go after that. Hopefully I've put these on here right. They should be half and half. So half of them will be one direction and the other half will be the other direction. There we go. Then these should all be this direction, because I think I did one side first and then I did the other side. So after dinner, I will finish writing out the instructions for tomorrow and I'll get them on there, and then I will put a small video up. Please remember, go into my, and I'm going to keep saying this, so you know, if you've already heard it, don't worry about it, but I got to keep saying it. Go into my YouTube channel, make sure you subscribe so that when I post the video, it will let you know that there's a new video. At least I think that's the way that's supposed to work. Okay, if it doesn't work that way, you let me know. But each night I've been going in and showing you how I cut these so that you know what you're looking for. But basically, this block today is a lot like yesterday's block. The only difference is there is another, hang on, it's here somewhere. There is this triangle right here, and that triangle is a different than what we're doing today. And so these are going to go, these little pieces right here on the edge, these are going to go on this edge here. And they're all going to be white. They're not going to be colored. The only thing that's colored is this one and then, of course, the center block. So 2 of these and 2 of these per block. So you're going to need 8 of this one and 8 of this one. 8 of this one and 8 of this one. And then 2 of these squares, which again, I think those squares are 5 3/16. I think, but I will make sure I have it on there for you. Okay, so I'm going to keep working on these, but it is actually, ooh, yeah, I have actually done a cruise. I think I've done 2, maybe 3. 2. I want to do another one. As a matter of fact, Miss Jerry has a cruise coming up in 2021. I think it's June or July, and I am planning on going on that one. Don't know how that's going to work yet. We haven't quite worked out all the details because it is a little pricey, but that is my end game, is to make it onto that cruise. And it is a retreat cruise, so it is a sewing cruise. Everything you need will be provided. All you have to do is bring your clothes, and of course if you have any other projects you want to bring with you. But they have like 2 or 3 projects that you do while you're on. They have your sewing machines. They have everything you need to do your work. And I can't wait. I think it's going to be exciting. I think it's going to be fun. And I think if you would like to look it up, it's either on, well, I know it's on the Manatee Patchworkers site. And I think you can see that by just going into Manatee Patchworkers manateepatchworkers.org, and I think it's on the main page if you want to just look into it. The other place is probably on her website, which is quiltersquarters.com. That's quilters quarter QTRS.com. Those are the ones you want to, yeah, me too. I am so excited. I really, really, really want to go. So, if you want to look into it, like I said, it is a little pricey, but it has everything. She has kits, she has the fabric, she has the patterns, she has the sewing machines, everything you need to do this trip. So I'm hoping that it didn't get waylaid because of the, the coronavirus. But that's the deal. As far as I know, it's still on, and it's not for another year. I mean, we have a whole nother year, and I'm sure if if you've got some kind of way to put some money back or whatever, that's what I plan on doing. Yes, look it up, Miss Jane. Come join me. I don't, other than Miss Jerry, I don't know anybody else that's going. So it would be great to have another partner. And maybe if you want, we could room together. Oh, you never know, because you have to room to be able to get the price that they have. Anyway, so y'all, this has been great. I'm going to go ahead and go for the night. Time to get to work on lunch, dinner. Time to get to work on dinner. Sorry, spaced out there for a second, talking about cruises. So I'm going to keep working on this and getting those together. Remember, this is what it's going to turn out like. So Miss Jane, we already did one. And this is what it looked like once we finished it. So that's what we're doing. We're finishing it up by doing 3 more of these, and that's what these are right here. And once I finish this, I will save it and then post it, and then you can start watching it from the beginning where we did all of these. And we did it in about 1 hour and 10 minutes for one. And if you're doing all 3 of them, you could probably do them all between 1.5 hours to 2 hours, all 4 of them at one time. If you would like to have the PDF file, here is my, this is my email address right here. Just send your name and your email address to this. Also, if you want to be put into the drawing for a few of my favorite things, that's the name of the drawing, because I'm putting in it in a little package a few of the things that I like to have at my sewing table, which some of them include the little clips. I'm going to have some clips in there for you. Also, there's my little rubber thingy, which I don't see right now. Somewhere I put it down. Anyways, what I use for removing thread. When I rip something out and the threads are all there, I use this to pull it out of the fabric, so this will be in there. And then let's see, probably going to be one of those wonderful stilettos that Miss Janice makes, and maybe even one of those pressing boards. So again, make sure you send me your email address. I'm going to turn this so you can see it. Send me your email address, and in your email address say, I need the PDFs. And if you don't have any of them, tell me you need all of them for the pattern for this. The other thing is for the drawing. If you want to be put in the drawing, you have to ask to be put in the drawing, because I just won't automatically put you in there. You have to ask. So say, put me in the drawing and send me the PDFs, and I will put you in the drawing, and I will send you a copy of all 4 sets of the PDFs. Okay? All right, let me see if there's anything else I need to remember. Yep, year to save up. You betcha, Miss Jane. Just make sure you let Miss Jerry know you want to go, okay? Because I know she would love to hear from all of us, so let us know that we're still interested after everything that's been going on. Okay, so again, keep working on it. I look forward to seeing everybody's stuff. Make sure you post it to the SRQ site, and if you are in the Manatee Patchworkers Guild, make sure you post it there as well, so that we can share what we've been doing with all of our other friends and family. Because I don't know about y'all, but my guild feels like my family. Can't do it without my family. So y'all have a wonderful night. It has been such a pleasure chatting with you guys and sharing this, and I look forward to tomorrow. Remember, 3:30 Eastern time, and if you miss it, don't worry, it's posted on Facebook. It's also on YouTube. And remember to subscribe to my YouTube channel, SRQ Quilters. All right, you guys have a wonderful night. Enjoy your dinner, and I look forward to seeing you tomorrow, 3:30 Eastern time. Take care.